In a world full of noise, opinions, and constant judgment, it's easy to forget one simple truth. Being wise and being seen as wise are not the same. You may walk quietly, think deeply, and choose your actions with care, yet people may laugh at you, doubt you, or completely misunderstand your intentions. But true strength has never needed applause. Real power is calm, steady, silent. It's the confidence that doesn't need to shout to be heard, as crowds move loudly and the world rushes forward. There is something incredibly powerful about the person who remains still, centered, and aware. Because silence is not weakness, it is strategy. It is the choice to stay focused while others get distracted, to act with purpose while others react in noise. Far beyond the noisy marketplaces and crowded streets, in a peaceful kingdom touched by golden sunlight, lived a minister known for his remarkable wisdom. He was the king's most trusted advisor, the one with answers to every crisis, every challenge, every question that troubled the throne. The king would not make a single important decision without first asking for his counsel. But great wisdom often stirs great jealousy. Around him, members of the royal court whispered and envied the respect he received. They wanted his influence, his position, his closeness to the king. Yet none of them understood the quiet strength behind his decisions. While they competed loudly for attention, the minister remained steady and silent. He knew that true wisdom did not need defending. It only needed to be lived. He had no idea that soon, a simple misunderstanding involving his own son would become the kingdom's biggest point of laughter. And the greatest lesson of all. One morning, as the king walked through the village to meet his people, he noticed something curious. The minister's son, quiet, humble, and always standing nearby, would greet him politely each day. And each day, the king asked him the same simple question. Tell me, which is more valuable, gold or silver? And every single morning, without hesitation, the boy answered, silver. The king would raise an eyebrow, the guards would chuckle, and soon the entire royal court would burst into laughter. To them, the boy seemed clueless, too foolish to even know the value of gold. That afternoon, the king called the minister to the court. With a half-amused sigh, he said, "You are very wise. But your son? He understands nothing. Every day I ask him a simple question, and every day he embarrasses himself by choosing silver over gold." The court laughed again, and this time, even though he held his dignity, the minister felt a sting of shame. Without defending himself or his son, he bowed quietly and left the palace, his heart heavy with confusion. When the minister returned home, the laughter of the court still echoed in his mind. He found his son sitting quietly in his room, sorting through a few small belongings. With a gentle but troubled voice, the minister asked, "My son, tell me honestly, which is more valuable, gold or silver?" Without hesitation, the boy replied, "Gold, of course." The minister blinked in surprise. "Then why?" he asked softly. "Do you tell the king every day that silver is more valuable?" Today, the whole court laughed at you. The boy looked up calmly, unbothered by the ridicule others had thrown at him. "Father," he said, "every morning the king places 2 coins in front of me, a gold coin and a silver coin, and tells me to take whichever one I believe is more valuable. And every morning." He paused, watching his father's puzzled expression. Then he continued, "I choose the silver coin on purpose, because if I ever pick the gold coin, the king will know I understand the value. And once he knows the truth, he will stop asking me the question, and I will stop receiving coins." The minister stared at him, speechless, caught between confusion and wonder. His son wasn't foolish at all. Perhaps he was something else entirely. The boy gently took his father's hand and led him to a small wooden box tucked away beneath his bed. He opened it slowly. Inside, neatly stacked and shining softly in the afternoon light, were dozens of silver coins, each one a quiet reward for his patience. The minister's eyes widened. "Where did you get all these?" he whispered. His son smiled. "These are the coins the king gives me every morning. 1 silver coin a day. If I ever take the gold coin, if I ever give the right answer, then the king will stop asking. And if he stops asking, I won't receive anything anymore." The minister felt a wave of realization wash over him. The boy continued, "I'm not trying to be clever. I'm learning patience. I'm learning to keep quiet. I'm learning to think long term, even when others laugh at me." Then he looked up and said something that struck his father deeply. "The king laughs because he thinks I'm foolish, but I know exactly what I'm doing." In that moment, the minister understood. Sometimes, true intelligence wears the mask of foolishness. Sometimes, the wisest people are the quietest ones, the ones who don't rush to prove themselves, the ones who let their actions, not their words, reveal their wisdom. The minister looked at his son not with embarrassment anymore, but with pride. Deep, quiet pride. For a long moment, the minister simply watched his son, this quiet boy who had endured laughter, mockery, and misunderstanding without ever feeling the need to defend himself. All this time, the minister had believed he was the wise one. But now, standing in front of his son's small wooden box filled with silver coins, he felt humbled. He gently placed a hand on the boy's shoulder and said, "My son, I spent my whole life thinking wisdom must be spoken. I believed intelligence must be proven. But you have shown me something far greater." The son tilted his head curiously. "True wisdom," the minister continued softly, "does not rush to be recognized. It doesn't argue, it doesn't shout, it doesn't demand attention. Real wisdom waits. It works quietly. It lets the world laugh, because it knows the truth." The boy smiled, not out of pride, but out of understanding. He had lived that truth every single day. For the first time, the minister realized that silence is not emptiness. Silence is decision. Silence is patience. Silence is the strength to hold your ground without explaining yourself to those who are determined to misunderstand you. And as he embraced his son, he whispered, "You have taught me the art of being quiet." As the minister walked outside that evening, he found himself reflecting deeply on what he had learned. In the quiet glow of dusk, the world suddenly seemed divided into 2 kinds of people. There were those who talked loudly, who constantly announced their intelligence, who needed the world to see how wise they were. They filled every silence with noise, yet their actions rarely matched their words. And then there were the others, the quiet workers, the silent observers, the patient thinkers. They didn't argue to prove a point. They didn't compete for attention. They didn't rush to show how much they knew. Instead, they moved with calm intention. They acted quietly, consistently, and purposefully, and their results spoke louder than any boast ever could. The minister realized that his son belonged to the second group, the ones who grow slowly, silently, but with unshakable strength. The ones who are underestimated until the truth can no longer be ignored. The ones who understand that your power doesn't come from being loud. It comes from being certain that he understood now why some people succeed without ever shouting. while others shout without ever succeeding. Because wisdom is not a performance. It's a practice. It's a way of thinking, a way of waiting, a way of choosing peace over pride. And in that moment, the minister smiled. His son wasn't just wise. He was teaching everyone around him a lesson the whole world forgets. Silent progress is still progress. Quiet strength is still strength. As the minister continued his walk, he realized this lesson wasn't just about his son. It was about life itself. Too often, we worry about what others think. We fear their laughter, their criticism, their misunderstanding. We feel pressured to explain ourselves, to justify our decisions, to prove our intelligence, just to satisfy people who may never understand us anyway. But the truth is simple. You don't need to explain your journey to anyone who isn't walking it with you. Let people say what they want. Let them judge what they don't understand. Let them call you foolish, quiet, strange, or different. None of that changes the value of who you are or the wisdom behind your choices. The minister finally understood that the greatest strength is staying focused despite the world's noise. Working silently, improving steadily, building patiently. Because life isn't about pleasing the crowd. It's about honoring your path. And just like the boy collected his silver coins day after day, quiet effort can build something powerful, something the world will eventually notice. Even if it laughs at first, your results will speak for you. Your patience will reward you. Your silence will build your future. In the quiet stillness of that night, the minister realized just how powerful silence can be. Not the silence of fear or weakness, but the silence of clarity, confidence, and purpose. The kind of silence that doesn't need applause. The kind that builds strength quietly from within. And so he returned to the palace the next morning, not to defend his son, not to explain anything, but simply to smile. Because he now understood that the world often misunderstands the wise, until the wise no longer need validation. This story is a reminder for all of us. You don't have to respond to every opinion. You don't have to prove your intelligence to doubters. You don't have to explain your choices to people who aren't part of your journey. Sometimes, silence is your greatest strategy. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is focus quietly, move steadily, and let your results reveal what words never could. Stay patient. Stay true. Stay silently determined. Your moment will come, not when you shout for it, but when your growth becomes impossible to ignore. If this story touched your heart, give it a like, share it with someone who needs this reminder, and subscribe for more wisdom-filled tales that speak softly but echo deeply.